If you're watching this right now, there's a good chance you feel completely numb. Like your emotions, they just don't work anymore. You can't feel pleasure, you're feeling unmotivated. The things that used to excite you, they don't seem to work anymore. And you might even start to wonder, what is wrong with me? Well, I'm here to tell you, you're not lazy, you're not broken, you're not alone. What you are experiencing is a very normal response to porn addiction. If you've been using porn heavily for a long time, your brain has gotten used to these huge dopamine spikes. And now that you've stopped, it feels like your entire system has just crashed. Your energy is gone, you can't seem to enjoy anything, and you're emotionally disconnected. You feel like you've lost yourself, like you're just going through the motions. This isn't just in your head, it is a very real phenomenon. It is called the flatline, and it is something almost every guy goes through when they are quitting porn. In this video, I am going to cover what the flatline is, why it happens, and how to survive it. Because if you understand how your brain works, this whole recovery process becomes way easier to face. So what is this flatline? It is a phase in your recovery that usually kicks in after you quit porn. One day, you're finally done with it. You make the decision, you stop. And then, everything just starts to feel off. The things you used to enjoy, like going out with friends, listening to music, or playing video games, they don't feel like anything anymore. Life turns gray. Life turns very monotonous and emotionally flat. You're not happy, but you're not particularly sad either. You're just there. This happens because porn gave your brain massive dopamine spikes. And regular life just cannot compete with that kind of artificial high. So when you remove the porn, your brain, which was used to this constant stimulation, starts going through withdrawal. It's like your reward system is asleep or rebooting, and until it comes back alive, you're going to feel kind of numb. This is the flatline, and yeah, it sucks. But this is also temporary. It's a sign that your brain is trying to find a new balance. Your dopamine system is learning how to enjoy normal life again, not the highlight reel version porn was feeding you. To help you understand further what the flatline is, we will cover a part of the dopamine science called dopamine receptor downregulation. It sounds pretty complicated, but once you understand it, it is actually pretty simple. Dopamine is the chemical in your brain that makes you feel excited, motivated, and rewarded. It spikes when you experience something pleasurable, like food, like sex, like winning, and yeah, like porn. Now here's the thing, when you use porn excessively, your brain gets flooded with dopamine time and time again. And the brain doesn't like to be overstimulated all the time. So to protect itself, it starts to downregulate its dopamine receptors. That means your receptors become less sensitive, less responsive. Think of it like this. If you are blasting music at a very high volume, your ears eventually become used to that volume. And normal volume just starts to feel quiet. Your brain works the same way. After getting hit with extreme levels of dopamine from watching porn, it feels like somebody turned the volume down on life. So when you quit porn cold turkey, you're left with dopamine receptors that are used to overstimulation. They have built up a tolerance. Regular activities like going for a walk or talking to a friend don't release enough dopamine to satisfy those desensitized receptors. That is why everything feels flat, dull, and empty. Your brain is literally trying to adapt to a new, healthier baseline. And until it does, nothing feels rewarding. This is the biological reason behind the flatline. Now, here is the tricky part. Even during this flatline, when you feel completely numb, the cravings to watch porn still show up. Your brain remembers the high. It remembers the surge of dopamine you got when you were watching porn. And now that you're stuck in this gray, empty state, your brain starts whispering to you. It starts saying, "Go back, just one time, you will feel better." This is the trap. Your brain isn't craving porn because it is horny. It is craving an escape. It is trying to run away from this numbness, from this low. And it remembers exactly what used to work. But here is the truth. The craving you are feeling is a test. Every time the craving shows up, your brain is asking you a question. Are we going to the old path or are we going to forge a new one? If you give in, the cycle continues. Your receptors stay desensitized, but if you recognize the craving for what it is, a desperate escape attempt, and you choose not to act upon it, you are teaching your brain to rewire. You're creating new patterns, new pathways, and you're giving your brain a chance to heal. Think of it like this. Every time you say no to a craving, you say yes to your future self. You might be wondering, how long does the flatline last? Well, it depends from guy to guy. It depends on how addicted you are, how often you use, and how long you have been using. For some guys who haven't been addicted that long, it can just last a few days or a few weeks. But if you've been a guy who has been heavily addicted to porn, it could take several months. But no matter how long it lasts, the only way out is through. You can't shortcut the process, but you can make sure you don't start over every time you feel uncomfortable. Luckily, our brains are plastic, not in a Barbie doll kind of way, but in a scientific sense. Your brain is constantly changing and adapting itself based on what you choose to do, avoid, and repeat. This is called neuroplasticity, and it is your biggest ally during recovery. Even if you have been using porn for years and your dopamine receptors feel completely fried, neuroplasticity says you can change. As you stay away from porn and you stop flooding your brain with artificial dopamine, your brain starts searching for a new balance. Your dopamine receptors, which have been numbed out and desensitized, slowly start to resensitize. That means you begin to feel pleasure again from regular everyday activities. A workout, a conversation, a win in your personal life, or even a good cup of coffee. It won't feel like the intense high you used to feel from porn, and honestly, it shouldn't. Porn gives you an unnatural hit of dopamine. Real life gives you steady, meaningful hits of dopamine. And as your brain heals further and further, those normal activities become enough again. The fewer times you go back to porn, the faster your brain can find that new baseline. Relapse can happen. It is part of the process for many guys. But just remember that whenever you feel a craving and you don't give in to it, you are speeding up your recovery. You are showing your brain that it doesn't need extreme levels of dopamine to feel okay. You are showing your brain that real life is enough. And even if you do slip up, don't use it as an excuse to give up. You haven't erased all of your progress. Just keep going. Because the more consistent you are, the faster your brain will adapt. And over time, the world does become colorful again. Alright, let's talk about how to actually get through the flatline. Because yes, this phase can be brutal. But there are things you can do to make it more bearable and even accelerate the healing process. Number 1. Allow yourself to feel bad. Let yourself feel numb for a while. Don't try to fight the numbness. Don't try to positive mindset your way through it. And don't try to shame yourself for feeling this low. Because the truth is, the more you resist these feelings of numbness, the longer they will stick around. But when you just sit with them and you accept the sadness, the boredom and the numbness, something shifts. It doesn't make it feel amazing, but it does make it feel less scary. And weirdly enough, the flatline starts to pass quicker when you stop fighting the feelings. It's like your brain says, okay, this guy is not running away from his pain anymore. He's ready to heal. Number 2, go back to old hobbies, even if you don't feel like it. Your brain is not gonna want to do anything. That's normal. But part of rewiring your brain is seeking out healthier rewards consciously. So even if it feels pointless, go back to old hobbies. Play guitar, go game with friends, lift some weights, draw, anything you know that could light you up in the past. At first, this is going to feel like a real drag, but trust me, it works. The joy might not be there at first, but it does gradually return. And these activities, they are like breadcrumbs leading your brain back to a healthy reward system. Number 3, pair this flatline with a dopamine detox. Use this flatline as an opportunity to reset your whole dopamine reward system. That means cutting out any high stimulus stuff like junk food, social media, doom scrolling, anything that has a high dopamine spike. Replace that stuff with real life inputs. Go outside, move your body, talk to a friend, journal, sit in silence. The flatter your external stimulations, the faster your brain will recalibrate. A dopamine detox doesn't mean that you need to live like a monk, but it does mean that you give your brain the chance to heal. You give it the space to form new connections. Pairing that dopamine detox with your flatline is like doubling down on your recovery process. It is not easy, but it does work and it does pay dividends if you can do it. So if you are in the flatline right now, I know it is very rough. But it is also temporary. Your brain wants to heal, and you need to give it that chance. Feel the pain, do the boring stuff, and cut out the high stimulus crap. The color comes back, the motivation returns, and when it does, you will be a different person on the other side. I would love to hear from you in the comments. Have you already started your recovery journey, or are you still dabbling and doubting a little bit if you would start or not? Where are you in your recovery journey? Are you experiencing a flatline right now? And how are you dealing with it? Just let me know. Your story might help someone else who is going through the same thing. And if this video helped you understand what you are feeling and gave you some ideas to get through this flatline, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any future videos. Stay strong, brothers.